Welcome to the FutureNow talks. With me today, I have Sumit Sharma sitting in the seat next to me.
Thank you, Simon. Today we are here to talk about cloud SOC as a service. So I would like to ask Simon that, Simon, you are managing one of the largest SOC in the country, right? And all of our customers are going through digital transformation. So in their journey of this transformation, what are the key pain points that customers see specifically to the SOC services?
So the key pain points include moving and migration to the cloud and doing that securely. Secondly, finding adequate resources, skilled people to support them in both the migration and in operating in the cloud. And lastly, one of the key pain points and challenges is getting the visibility they need and being able to detect and respond to threats in single and multi-cloud environments and sometimes in hybrid cloud environments.
So now we see that customers are migrating their infrastructure in cloud and moving their SOC as a service model. But do you think that there is an advantage in moving to cloud from the advanced services point of view? Services like analytics, services like anomaly detection. Do you really think that it is going to change the way these services are delivered?
Yeah, good question, mate. I think it is going to change it. And I think it's going to change it for a few reasons. The first reason is that it allows service providers like LPG, Etisalat, to operate at scale simply. Secondly, it provides the best and most efficient use of both technology resources and people resources. And lastly, we can see the development of cloud services. We can see, and we're staring down the barrel of more and more organizations adopting either a single, multi-cloud or hybrid infrastructure. As we move forward in time, it's very important for us to support our customers and go with them on that journey.
Okay, so multi-cloud visibility is required, moving to cloud is required, but I think there is something else from the services perspective as well that is supposed to change, right?
Yeah, it's a good point, Sumit. What do you think is going to change, and what do you think needs to change in the way that we structure and deliver services when we talk about delivering cloud SOC as a service?
So, okay, I think this is a fundamental shift in the way customers perceive a service, right? They used to buy point products and now they want to buy services. And what those services are, they expect that there is a set deliverable in those services. And this changes the whole operating and commercial model. So in terms of commercial model, now customer is not buying a termed license. What they are buying is a subscription from you, right? And against that subscription, the customer would be able to scale up, scale down the services. And he would also be able to add more functionalities. For example, I'll give you an example of a real life here. So if you are doing security monitoring based on X technology and you want to add behavior analytics on top, it should not be a major investment for customer. If he's buying a service from you. So this is a change which customers expect. So from the services point of view. And of course, from the operating model point of view, I think it's going to change as well, because now they are asking for deliverables. They don't ask for resources. So it's the deliverable that they expect.
It's the outcome and the value that they're searching for.
Correct. So because you are running this SOC environment, and this is the largest SOC environment in the country, I'm certain that there are some customers who ask you these deliverables, and how do you see that moving to services is going to change how you operate?
Yeah, so I think moving to services means moving to a value-based conversation. And as you said, an outcome-based conversation. It's important to be able to articulate the value and the commitment and the obligations and the deliverables that are part of the service. Being able to clearly articulate what, when, and if necessary, how they are delivered, in what form.
So it's all known before to the customer. No surprises.
There should be no surprises.
No surprises at all.
That's
nice.
And the experience, you talked about the experience earlier. So the experience that the customer feels is really important because they're not necessarily able to hang on to a piece of technology. What they're interfacing with is your people and your processes and those interfaces which deliver that value. And more often than not, it's people and process.
all this time we have been talking about this, and I feel that it's all bed of roses, right? So everything is good,
Yeah.
but there have to be some considerations when customers move to a cloud-based service, or let's say SOC, cloud SOC as a service.
Yeah.
So what, in your opinion, should be those considerations? Consider yourself as a service provider. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. A few things, Sumit. The journey that customers are on will sometimes dictate how quickly they move to the cloud and how agile they need to be to move to the cloud. And so depending on their level of maturity, it may be that a move to the cloud or a move to consume services from a provider that's providing services out of the cloud, it allows them to leapfrog in terms of their maturity. It allows them to acquire something without the hassle, without a drama, and without having to go through that maturity journey. The service provider has gone through that journey on their behalf, and the service provider then provides them with an outcome or with the value or objectives or commitments.
I also think that from a service provider's point of view, we need to also make sure that the platform, whichever platform that is serving the customer, that should not be complied to only one cloud. Right? So it should be a multi-cloud infrastructure, right, which supports anything and everything today and tomorrow.
I agree.
But also considering the data residency.
Yeah, definitely. So data residency is one of those things where there's still a lot of nervousness around where the data lives. And so both transparency and clarity on where data moves, how it moves between users and the cloud, or systems in the cloud, or within the cloud itself, is also really important. And knowing at what point data moves beyond the cloud or the data residency commitment is really important as well. There's a lot of talk at the moment in the US. Facebook are really upset because the EU don't want data moving across to the US. And so there's a lot of conversation about why data needs to move in that way and what happens when it does and how it's processed, so on and so forth. And so that visibility and that transparency is really important.
So there are a few considerations that customers should keep in mind when they are going towards cloud SOC as a service. In my opinion, first is that whichever service provider they choose, that service provider should not be buying into one public cloud, right? It should be something which is multi-cloud, which can serve any public cloud or your on-premise data center. So that's what I think is one. And the other thing is, I believe, which is truly required, is data residency. So wherever the service is delivered, it should be compliant to the data residency regulations of the land. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, man. I think in the UAE we can leverage platforms that provide both clarity and transparency, and we have that ability here in the UAE to leverage a UAE-oriented cloud-based cloud. That also provides the scalability of a public cloud environment. It's super important to give customers visibility and also confidence to scale and move workloads without being nervous about where data might end up.
And I think that customers are now maturing their cloud journey. So they are slowly adopting SaaS. They are slowly adopting infrastructure as a service, right? Locally based.
Definitely.
I'm certain that they will be happy to adopt a cloud service if that is hosted locally.
And we've seen that in the adoption of E1 and Azure, and up until recently, other providers have not committed, but we're seeing more commitment from other providers to provide data residency here in the UAE, which is really exciting.
Awesome. Thank you, Simon, for this interesting talk, and I hope our audience also enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody, for joining this session of FutureNow Talks. Here on this platform, we bring industry leaders, innovators, to talk about what future holds. This is what FutureNow Talks is all about. Stay tuned.